Hello grade sixes. I'm so excited to be making this math video for you. So my plan now that we're starting with our new math books, I hope that everyone has gotten their new JUMPMath 6.2 books. So they should look really nice and fresh, so that's cool. So my plan for us now that we have these books and now that we're at home is that I'll make lecture videos for you, kind of like what I would do in class. So I would be up on the board writing and teaching you for a little bit, and then you'd work in your books. So the plan is that I'll teach you through these videos. And the nice thing about that is that you can kind of skip through it quickly if you understand it, or if you want to re-watch it, you can watch it again as many times as you want. So I would like you to get out some paper and a pencil, your math scribbler preferably, and you can work in that through the video if you want to. That would help you. You can try out some of the problems as I'm teaching, and feel free to pause the video so you can do that. And then after that, then you can work in your math book, and I'll tell you what pages you're on. But basically we're starting on page 1, and we're starting a new unit on decimals. So the last unit that we just finished was on fractions, and you guys all did so well on fractions. And the nice thing about fractions and decimals is that they're really related to one another. It's just a different way of expressing a number that's part of something else. So okay, so there's different ways to represent 1/10. So I'm going to show you some of those different ways. So you could express 1/10 as a fraction. You can see a fraction up on the top there, and 1/10 means that you have one part out of 10 pieces. And then on the second one here, where the star is, we have on a line here, one part out of 10 parts. So that's also a way to say 1/10. Or you could have a nice pie of like blueberry pie, and you could have one part of the pie, and that's also 1/10. So that's some different ways. Now we can also use decimal notation. So that is when you use a decimal. So you can see that 1/10 here is equal to 0.1, which is also called 1/10 because it's one part out of 10 parts. If you had 10 parts, then you would have a whole number here. You'd have 1. Okay, and this dot here is called a decimal point, so we'd say 0.1. Okay, so let's look at a number line. I'm going to show you this number line, and we're going to have a few different points marked here. And so how could we write these as decimals? So remember that the number we looked back at here, this one was 1/10. How would you write these ones? So you can pause this video now and try these if you want to for each of these 3 numbers, and then you can check with me. So pause it now if you want to. Okay, so for this first one, 1, 2, 3, so it's 3 in, so it's 3/10. And so how would we write that? So let's write this down. That would be 0.3 or 3/10. And the second one is 4 in, so that would be written as 0.4 or 4/10. And then this final one, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 9/10. 0.9. And I'll just say that you don't have to have that 0 in front of the decimal point, but it's kind of nice to have it there, because if you don't have it there, maybe your decimal point is so small and someone doesn't really notice it, so it would look like a 9, but it is correct to leave that 0 off if you want to. Okay, so let's take a look at some pictures to see what decimals look like. I've got some beautiful pictures here that I drew myself with marker and crayon. And okay, so here we have 2/10 or 0.2. So we have 10 items, 10 pieces of pie, and we have 2 parts, so 2/10. Okay, here we have 10 things, 3 of them are colored in, so 0.3. Here we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 parts, and 6 of them are colored, so 0.6. So I hope you're getting an idea of how you would write down your decimal numbers. So I'm going to show you some pictures now, and you're going to write down what they would be as a decimal. So let's try that. So again, here's the pictures, and you can pause the video now if you would like to, and then after you try it yourself in your scribbler, then you can check and see if you got them right. So what would these be? How would we write these as decimals? Well, you know how to do them as fractions, so let's see. So if there's 10 of these, there's 2 blanks, so that means 8 of them are colored, so 8/10. How would we write that? That would be, so 8/10 or 0.8, like this, okay? And then this one, there are 7 colored, so that would be 7/10 or 0.7, like that. And then the bottom one, half of them are colored, so that's 0.5. So 5/10 or 0.5. Now, can you think of an equivalent fraction for 5/10? So that would be 1/2. And then if we wrote 1/2, we can't really write 1/2 as a decimal until we change it into something over 10, because our number system is a base 10 system, so things have to be out of 10, out of 100, out of 1,000. Okay, just a little side note there. All right, so hopefully you got those right, and if not, you could go back a little bit and see if you can figure out what happened there. Okay, so now, let's see, where are we? All right, so we've been looking at tenths, but we can also represent hundredths in various ways. So let's look at how we can write hundredths. So you can write 1/100 as a fraction, 1/100th. You could write it out in a word, 1/100th, or 2 words. You could write 0.01, that's 1/100th. Or you could draw a picture of 100 even things, exactly the same size. Mine's not exactly the same size. It's hard to do freehand. I bet Caitlin could do it. Okay, and then we have 1 out of 100. So that's what 1 out of 100 means. 1/100th means you have 100 things and only one of them colored, or one thing that you're talking about. Okay. All right. So let's do some practice. So if you look at this, 2 out of 100 is written as 0.02. So we can't write 0.2 because that's 2/10. That wouldn't be right. So we have to put in another 0 as a placeholder here to show we're really talking about hundredths. So 2 out of 100 would be 0.02. 3 out of 100, 3/100ths, is 0.03. And again, it can't be 0.3 because that would look like it was 3/10, but it's really 3/100ths. So we have to put that 0 in. Okay, so you guys can try these ones. So 9/100ths, 4/100ths, 8/100ths, 7/100ths, 5/100ths. So if you want to pause that and try that, you can do that. And I'll just write these down. Okay, so how would we write these as decimals? So 0.09, 0.04, 0.08, 0.07, 0.05. Like that. So there we go. So those are the answers there. Okay. And all right, so finally, what we've done is we've talked about decimals, what they are, and we've compared them to fractions, and talked about how you can have the fraction 1/10 or 1/100th as a decimal. Now let's compare 1/10 and 1/100ths. How do tenths and hundredths go together? So let's look at this picture. Okay, so if we had something cut into 100 pieces and we had 30 of them here, we could say 30 over 100. We have 30 hundredths, which is written like this, 0.30. Or we could say, well, let's not talk about hundreds. We could split these up into groups of 10. So we could say we really have 3/10, and that's a simpler fraction. That's a reduced fraction, which we like. So we could say, well, it's really 0.3. Now these are equivalent decimals, just like these are equivalent fractions. And if you look at it, 0.3 and 0.30, it's really the same thing, because if you just cover up that 0, it's the same number. You could add a million zeros on after here. We don't need those zeros. It doesn't change the answer. We still have the same amount of things out of the whole. Okay. So now what if I colored a few more in? I'm going to get you to try that, and a few more groups of 10, and see if you know what it is. Okay. So you can just color these in quickly, and you can see if you could write down what the decimal is. So let's see. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these groups of 10 here, or we could say it's 50. So it'd be 5/10, or 50 out of 100. So it's going to be 0.5 or 0.50. And either way, those are equivalent decimals, equivalent fractions, right? Okay, what if I colored one more group of 10? So again, now we just have 6/10, or 60 out of 100. So it'd be 0.6 or 0.60. But what if I colored just a few more, but not enough to be another 10? Let's see what happens there. Okay, so now we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now we don't have enough to make another 10th. We have 6/10 plus 6 more hundredths. So how would we write that? So that's going to look like this. 0.66. So we've got our 6/10 plus 6 more hundredths. Okay, so let's see. All right. So that's all I wanted to show you today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please put in comments and tell me, just make any suggestions or tell me anything you want to. And for homework, oops, I think I froze there. For homework, I want you to do page 1, 2, and 3 in your new book. So that's all an introduction to decimals, and I think it's going to be pretty quick for you. So page 1, 2, and 3. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.